Okay. Saying it's being live streamed.
Awesome.
I got the notice.
Are we in? We're in.
We're
Huh? I know. Let's go for this. Hi, y'all. This is Jolynn Lutz from WonHeart TV. Welcome. Wow, it's been a while. I haven't interviewed anybody, and I just had the call. I go with my intuitive feeling, hence who I'm bringing on, Heather Green, my good friend. Heather Green, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Jolynn, for having me again.
I know we've got to talk about this latest year coming up. I just feel compelled to see if I can help the folks out there. Just what is going to happen for us in this new year? Because, well, let me tell them a little bit about you, Heather. You are an intuitive channel and an energy healer for humans and animals, and that is how we met each other through an animal communication class years ago.
Yes.
You bring forth messages from the Pleiadian High Council. I don't know what that means. Angels of the, how do you say it?
Elohim.
And animal collectives to assist others with navigating their lives during these times of accelerated change. Oh my gosh, we have so much. You're an author of For the Love of Horses, an animal communicator's guide for helping our horses and healing our lives. It was released in 2013. Welcome, my dear friend, again. All right, we've got to get down to some business. We're in retrograde, and can you tell us a little bit about what that means for folks? Some folks may not even know what really retrograde means.
Yeah, there's actually two retrogrades happening. Mercury retrograde, which a lot of us have heard of. Okay, so that's every, I think 3 or 4 times a year we go into Mercury retrograde, which is a chance for us. It's a communication planet. So it's a chance for us to review and reflect and do some healing work. So that's naturally happening every year, as it is. But at the same time right now, we also have Venus retrograde. So there we go. We got a recording too. Yeah. So with Venus retrograde, we went into it on December 19th. So we've been in it for a little while, and we're going to continue through the end of January. And Venus is a feminine planet. Many of us have heard of Venus, right? When we hear Venus, what do we think about? Speaking of, there's my phone ringing. Hang on just a second.
Sure. While she's checking that out, if you just tuned in,
has to interrupt. Anyway,
okay, go ahead.
Back to Venus. When we think of Venus, it's about the feminine, it's about beauty, it's about love, wealth, so money issues. So right now we're in a big reflection time on all of those areas, thinking about ourselves. Particularly women are really feeling this big time because we embody the feminine. So we're thinking about, how have we been treated as women? How have our relationships been? What do we deserve? What do we value? And regards to money too. We might be looking at our beauty in a different way. We might be looking at what represents beauty to us. What do we want to have more of in our life? Because Venus is it represents abundance, in our life. So we're in that right now until the end of January, as I said, and then Venus will go into Capricorn. And Capricorn is a very grounded sign. I can talk a little more about what that would mean.
Sure.
But a lot of this review that we're in with Mercury and Venus being retrograde is getting us to look at relationships and what have we learned? What has worked for us? What hasn't? Old issues might be coming to the surface. I know for me, and I've been hearing from a lot of my clients, that people have been feeling very emotional, old stuff from the past coming to the surface, like, why did that man that I dated do that to me? Or why did my father treat me that way? Or why didn't I stand up for myself, or stop that controlling behavior? So we're old, you could say old wounds, old issues coming to the surface to be healed. So that's the good part, is this is the time for healing that. It's possible for us to heal. With the help of the cosmic energies too, we're getting a lot of downloads of light. coming into our planet right now to assist us in purifying. I mean, that's the way of ascension, is we're moving from a heavier density to a lighter one. So we're receiving these downloads of light from our sun, from our galaxy, to help us purify. And so if we have these issues coming up, we can release them much, much more easily. We can gain clarity. So we know, okay, I don't want to repeat that again. I don't need to be in a relationship like that again. And what do I really want? Here's what I want. And I'm going to focus on that. So if we can use this period of time, I've been writing posts on my Facebook page about it and in my newsletter to say, use this time as a valuable window for doing some major healing work and having the universe support you in that, because we have the support with all the light coming in to really clear and heal and move forward, and actually get clarity too. If you've been confused and you're like, well, I don't know, maybe I should stay in this relationship, maybe it's okay. You know, you might find yourself going back and forth because, you know, those issues come up to be worked through. And then once you work them through, then you'll see the path and you'll see the way forward. So that's just a little bit on what's going on.
Well, you struck a chord with me, first of all, when I saw your feed a couple nights ago about this. I know I'm dealing with some emotional stuff for sure. I'm crying like at the drop of a hat. And I was kind of going, okay, Heather nailed this. I don't know why. I don't know why it's bubbling up. I know I've been frustrated, as probably most of us through the year, about what's going on, what's next. Why do we have to stay in fear all the time? Why is this running this way and running that way? And just the love I have for my human species. And then I turn around and I have old crap bubble up and old things I do that I don't really want to do anymore. How can this help us? What's something that you can?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned your feelings, because, and that's what I did post on Facebook the other day. If you're feeling sad, angry, I know I've had that come up as well. Like, and you can't pinpoint where it is. Sometimes it'll just come out in your day and you're thinking, this is just a normal day, nothing happened. You might try to find where it's coming from. Oh, someone said something to me and I'm upset. Well, maybe it's true. But a lot of this is coming from other lifetimes. It's coming from earlier in this lifetime, and it may be relationship centered. It may be about what's happening on the planet right now with all of us in this time of humanity and what we're working through together to move beyond some of the big blocks out there in our society. So there's that happening. And, you know, I wrote a little bit about the earth too, because I feel like the earth, well, I should say the earth to me represents the embodiment of the feminine, the ultimate feminine. And when we think about respecting and honoring the feminine and healing the feminine, we have to think about our earth too. And who's been more disregarded than our earth? Look at how we live our lives on a day-to-day basis and just take it for granted and even mistreat, you know, and we're just beginning to realize what we can do to help the earth. So, you know, you may be feeling that a lot of the old energies of the past have been, you know, the old grids of earth are falling away or have already been gone, are already cleared. And now we're in this new time. And with that comes a grief, because it's the old way that once was that's gone. There's no reference point now for where we're headed. It's a whole new territory. So it is time for us to step up in our feminine power, whether we're women or men, it doesn't matter. We all have feminine and masculine inside of us, and say, how can we stand up for the feminine? What would that mean to protect and honor and take care of the feminine, show that it's valuable to us? And as we do that, not only do we help heal ourselves, but the masculine energy can heal right along with us. The masculine can actually have empathy and see where mistakes have been made and make amends and start to move more into balance. And so that's the great thing about this, is that in the past, and we have Venus retrogrades every once in a while, I think they're every 3 years, or I don't know how often, but this is a powerful time right now with where the cosmic energies are and where we are in our evolution as humanity. In this time, we're in 2022 now. The next 2 years in particular are going to be very powerful on our planet for seeing drastic changes in society and the way we live and the way we interact as a community, as, you know, in our small communities, in our big community on Earth as humans. So this makes it even more powerful of a time to really review and heal and know that the masculine is healing, even if it doesn't look that way. It needs to be confronted. And it needs the feminine to stand up and point out things and say, this is going on. And for the masculine to feel right along with the feminine, you know, to feel it, to be with us in it. And whether that's inside yourself or whether that's literally a man and a woman, you know, having an exchange and pointing things out. But from my perspective, I think it's a beautiful unfolding. I've witnessed in my own life, even between men in my own life and interactions, and it can be a beautiful tenderness there. So if you're willing to step up and speak up and share how you feel and let yourself heal, you might be surprised by what you get back at you from the masculine. So
yeah, that sounds great. We can definitely use that shift, as it feels like the masculine energy has ran this world for so long.
absolutely.
And I know that I'm ready for the flip. However, the flip can't be that easy because we've been ingrained, you know. You said something earlier about the energies, the more light energy. Now, there's this whole thing about the third dimensions, I believe, is more matter, and many of us moving into the fifth dimensions. Could that be part of this? Like, we're getting used to it in our bodies or something? I don't really quite know how to understand that as well as I'd like. Do you have any thoughts?
As far as moving from more heavy density to light density, is that what you're asking?
Possibly, if that's what it is. I don't want to say because I don't know personally.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think the feminine, we're giving the opportunity for the feminine to lead the way, if that's what you were talking about in the first part. And that's why the masculine needs to heal as well and recognize, wow, we've been so masculine dominated for so long. You know, we achievement oriented, success, intellect, logic has ruled our world, still is for the most part. So what would it mean to make the feminine, to help the feminine lead? And the feminine, when I speak of that, I mean qualities like intuition, emotion, being relationship oriented, which means connection, which means you care about your neighbor as much as you care about yourself. It means being still instead of being action oriented, you know? So all of those things, being more passive, allowing things to happen instead of controlling. So what would that mean if we had more of those qualities working in our planet and predominating, or at least I should say leading the way? It doesn't mean we're going to disregard the masculine. We're just going to lead for a little while, only because it's been neglected for so long. And we need to step up and say, this is important. Let's bring this on. And then the masculine meets the feminine and we go forward together. All those qualities are needed in our world, but we cannot have one dominating over the other. Yeah. And we've greatly neglected those feminine qualities. And think about if you were to let your intuition guide you more than your logic, or your emotions, your heart tell you, inform you and bring you wisdom instead of your intellect, how much different you'd be living your lives. We'd all be living our lives differently. We have a different world. Even thinking about the mother energy, I always talk about the mother energy, so important in this time, like Mother Earth. If we don't have mother, we're in trouble. If we can't honor our mother, and what would we do without our mothers? Think about a baby being born without the mother. It just can't survive. And that's where we're at. And it still isn't completely recognized yet. We're beginning to. So I have a cat that's making noise in the background here. He might jump in.
Oh, there he is.
There he is.
But, masculine energy right there.
Yes, and feminine. Cats are very feminine too. But it does help us move from a lighter to dense, and we are becoming lighter beings. We're not becoming so heavy emotionally, mentally, karmically. We're clearing so much of that heavy energy that we've carried for many lifetimes, for all our incarnations on Earth, especially, and other planets. So it is definitely a time to lighten up, I would say, on all levels. And our body, and I think I've talked about our bodies changing a lot during this time, moving from more carbon-based to crystalline. And so that means,
okay, that's where I was kind of, what does that mean? I mean, seriously, because, and the word that I keep getting is cooperation. For the
yes,
feminine, cooperation, instead of, we've so detached and separated ourselves from the earth completely.
yes,
And
yes,
so we've got to come back to that. For some reason, we feel like we're outside. Animals get this,
yeah,
they
yeah,
get it.
yeah. And,
What's the
oh, you want to know more about the carbon to crystalline?
Yes, please.
I mean, the short answer to that, with my beautiful cat tail in my picture here.
Looks beautiful.
He always wants attention when I'm on the computer.
Of course, on the phone.
See, we can multitask as women. We do our nurturing and we do our informative part too. Yeah, so I would say, it's about lightening up, and our physical bodies have been more carbon based. That's how we've been on this physical planet for however long we've been incarnating. And with all this light that we're bombarded with from the planets, the galaxy, now the sun is releasing light codes to help us in our evolution. It's an evolutionary process. And even if you go on NASA or space weather, they'll talk about how the sun is changing. They'll admit something's going on there. They might not know exactly what it is, but it's more intense. There's more solar flares and coronal mass ejections and things like that. And that's where this light is coming. These light codes are coming. So when we receive them in our body, it actually helps our body transform. It helps our body detox. As I talked about before, we release toxins in our bodies and on all levels of our being. So in the energy fields, wherever you're carrying heavy, stagnant density, we'll just call it that, it gets released. Now everyone gets what they're ready for. You're not going to get too much, but it is a gradual process of making our way from being more carbon-based bodies to being more crystalline beings, changing to more of a higher light frequency, into our light body. And it doesn't happen overnight. We've been in this for a while now. I think probably even before 2012, but it's amplifying. We're in the amplification process of that. So
Okay.
That's the short version of that question.
It is. I wonder how much of that plays into our, as you said, releasing toxins plays into our immunity at this time.
Yeah.
Too, because I never thought of that before. So wow, thank you very much. Okay, let's move on. You said you've got a couple questions for me, and I think that's the best way to move into this interview a little bit more. You said that tell us more about the soul's purpose and how that applies to this new year. So maybe you touched on it a little bit, but we're all looking for our soul's purpose, I think, to a degree.
Yes. And I shouldn't say most, many people, I say that because I work with people that are more tuned in and want to work on personal growth and development and want to, do what they came here to do and live a more passionate life and, expand their consciousness. So I would say there's a lot of people out there in that ballpark who already have an idea of what their purpose is. And they may already be doing that. But during this time, especially as we're making our way into this new year, 2022, it comes with new energies, it comes with new opportunities. And many people are feeling upgraded in their soul's mission or purpose work, meaning you may feel like you got a whole nother offering. You may be feeling guided to do something you've never done before, or something that may be in conjunct to what you're already doing. Like maybe you're already doing readings and now you're going to go out and do work with the earth, or now you're going to collaborate with scientists to help bring in a new invention that's going to make a difference in how earth can thrive, something like that. So or some people will just completely leave what they were doing before and do something new, because it's like we're getting an upgrade. So I talked about our bodies being upgraded, and that's a gradual process, obviously not an overnight one. And now we're also getting, many of us, upgrades in soul's purpose, and we're feeling really called to do that right now because it's so needed on our planet. As you said, we're in this process of what are we doing with humanity? How are we going to live our lives? How are we going to move past everything that we're in, COVID and all this stuff? How are we going to move through this? And so this is all part of it. So if you're feeling really called or passionate about a particular area that you've always wanted to go into, maybe you thought you could never do it, or you just wouldn't want to go there, but it's coming back to you again, or you have a whole new idea that comes to you in this time, really listen to that, because it's divinely inspired. It's needed. This is what we're the ones that are bringing the change. So it's going to come through us.
Yeah. I have a good friend of mine who's working for the medical industry and has to do the promotion for the, what. And he's really having ethical issues. I think that's why he really came down with this latest flu that just, it's going around. I also got it for the last week.
Mm-hmm.
And my thing is that he's really down with it. And I think that has a lot to do with this. Wow, he's horribly conflicted within himself.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say for people? How can they balance that? Would they go inside? What would you recommend for somebody?
If they get the flu, or what do you, or
well, if they're in conflict of, they're ethically, they feel like what they're doing in life is not right. And that could put a strain on people.
Oh, you mean for their purpose, what they do for a living?
Right.
Yeah.
As opposed to what his belief systems are, which is been evolving this past couple of years, like a lot of people.
That's definitely coming up for people. And we are being asked to step into integrity on a deeper level in all areas of our life. So we really have to go into what feels right to us from inside ourselves.
Right.
And as far as what he does for a living, think about, again, if it doesn't feel right anymore, it's kind of like you've outgrown the shoe, it doesn't fit you anymore. It's too tight. You can't wear it. It's going to hurt your feet if you wear that shoe that's too tight. It's like more than likely that friend has outgrown what he was doing before. It's why it doesn't feel right. And there's maybe unethical things about it that he just can't live with anymore, because he's growing as a soul. And when we grow as a soul, we have different parameters for our integrity, for how we want to live. We have different desires for ourselves that are more in alignment with our higher levels, our higher self, all those other aspects of us that are more evolved. So we make change. We get to the point where we can't live with that anymore. We don't want that. We so want to be in a different place. And some people are going to get to the point where they're very uncomfortable with their lives, very uncomfortable, and they know they can't go on living the way they've lived. And so that's when they bring change. Unfortunately, sometimes it takes that to get people to change. But for a lot of people, we're inspired right now, and that's getting the carrot to make the change. What would really bring us joy? What would bring us even more abundance and connection with others, and all the magic and beauty and wonder that we want to have in our lives, to get out of bed every morning, get excited about what you're doing and make a difference in the world? That's the kind of thing that is happening for many people. So it doesn't have to be sticks anymore. For some people it is, but it can be carrots. So, and this is 2022. Let's look at the carrots that are being, that are showing up. We have to keep our eyes open to notice them, though.
Yeah, I'm a big one on being out in nature to plug in, for sure. How does Venus retrograde influence our relationships going forward? Or how come?
Yeah, so I feel, because especially Venus, again, is that planet of, it represents our worth and our value, what's valuable to us. And when we do this healing work, as I talked about, for ourselves with the feminine energy in us, which may show, it may bring up issues from a lot of different areas. It could be where we've been mistreated in relationships. It could be about how we've thought we weren't worth it. Maybe we had a job and we got paid peanuts for it, and we realize now, you know what? I can't believe I was accepting that measly amount of money for what I was doing. It could be about that. It could be just about recognizing what you have to offer in the world, and your self-love and self-worth boosts tenfold during this time, because you recognize, wow, I have something to give here and the world really needs it. So when we get that, then we make change in our life, and that affects everyone we have in contact with, whether it's a personal relationship. People may decide to leave relationships that aren't working. They might begin a new one that feels more in alignment. They might decide to commit because that feels right. Or they might start a whole nother endeavor in their lives. Like I said, new work opportunities or soul's purpose, callings, and really step into that. The energy gives us the momentum to do that. But more than anything else, it's definitely an upgrade in how we live our lives. It's going to be one where we're not going to accept the way it was before, at least in our own personal lives. Now, on a worldly scale, we'll see how that, what that means and how that shows up. But on a personal level, we have the power to use this time to say, okay, I'm looking at how I've lived my life in the past. I don't want that. Here's what I really do want. And here's what I really value. And I'm not going to accept less. And that is powerful. Think about how that would influence any relationship you had, and your work, and how you go about your life and your community, everything.
I wish we were teaching children this at an early age. Seriously, we've pulled them so away from their intuitiveness. I did an interview with a woman on unschooling, and it's allowing the child to basically use their intuitive selves to know. For instance, in school, you might have a teacher who basically says, no, Johnny, you can't go to the bathroom right now, but I have to go to the bathroom right now. No, you're going to sit there and wait. What?
Yes.
What? The body knows what the body knows. And it seems extremely, what, you're teaching them manners? I don't think that's manners. That's I don't know.
That's the distorted masculine saying you're gonna do this because I said so. It's distorted energy. Nothing wrong with the masculine, but we don't want it to be distorted. The healthy masculine is grounded, it's supportive, it's directive. Nothing wrong with having rules or boundaries or
not at all.
Leading or that kind of leadership that points the way and is very direct. Right. But it has to be balanced. Right. It can't be a power struggle, power hungry, or controlling. So I think schooling is definitely one big area that will be influenced, and it already has. Look at all the people that are homeschooling now and living their lives that way with their kids, and doing what they know they need to do for their children. And that's
if we only brought these wonderful tools that you're suggesting, and just connecting into remembering, the cooperation, as I said earlier. You said there's themes of letting go, releasing karma, and how does that work for people? I mean, letting go of things is extremely hard.
I know.
We identify with whatever it is that we've wired. I'm really into this with Dr. Joe Dispenza's work right now, and that what we wire, we fire in our brain, how we see the world. It becomes our belief systems. Yeah, I'm guilty of this. How does one start to begin to let go? Or is it recognizing? Is it just recognizing in the moment, like, hey, whoa, what did I just say to myself? Or, I don't know.
It definitely starts with awareness. So I would say recognizing, seeing where do you need to let go, and what isn't working. And then pointing it out. I put a little bit of some tips on Facebook under the Healing the Feminine post about how we can heal it. Part of it is feeling our feelings, expressing them, and then doing any kind of healing modality. So if you're into healing, maybe you do yoga or meditation or qigong, or maybe you do energy healing or psychotherapy, or whatever you do. Get into your healing methods to really go deeper into the roots of some of this stuff and clear it out. And if it's new for you, reach out, look on the internet. There's so many resources now you can find to heal some of this stuff. EMDR for trauma release, get some help. Now, depending on the issue, you might need to get some help for that. But if you're trying to get rid of your material possessions, that's another thing. A lot of people are feeling like, I don't want to have all this stuff. I don't need this anymore. It's just baggage, right?
True.
And so
true.
How would it feel? And I know for me, I've moved around. I live in Utah now. I used to live in California. I was divinely guided to move here, and it's served me well. It's been a very rich experience out here for me.
Good. Good.
But I got down to 2 suitcases. That's all I have. I'm living in a furnished place right now, a little 1-bedroom cottage. And it feels so good to not have all that stuff. I'm not saying everyone has to live that way. If it resonates and works for you, great. But the more we clear out on mental, emotional, and karmic levels, and karma just means past baggage, whether from this life or other lifetimes,
Yeah.
the traumas, the heavy energy that we need to release. The more that we do that, the less things we need to have in our life. We just don't get that same pleasure or, I don't know how to explain it, a feeling of fulfillment from things that don't really matter. And so we might keep the things that we really do value. We might have our essentials, we might have a little bit more. But when we release that, it frees up so much energy for new things to come in, for us to be light and to travel if we want to, or to pursue anything that we really desire. So
Yes, I'm with you on that. Boy, I have been releasing and letting go like you can't believe. I'm living in a motorhome on the beach right now.
yeah, exactly.
And, my motorhome, and I hope to hit the road in it more this year. Maybe I'll come by and see you.
You should. It's beautiful. I live out by Zion National Park, so it's a beautiful area
My
of Utah.
favorite place. Oh, my favorite place.
Yeah.
I was there. Oh, I wanted to come out there. Now I have 2 reasons to go out there. Thank you, thank
Yes.
you, thank you.
Yeah,
Yes, I'll have to
it's
come by.
amazing. It's certainly been an adventure, and I would share with people that is part of why we have to listen to our intuition. It might not make sense logically. We might double question ourselves and go, why would I move there? I have a lot of California friends. Why are you moving there? And I mean, I looked at a couple different areas. I looked at a couple different states, more of the Western states, but I did get the intuitive direction to be here. And there was a reason. And I'm definitely finding that I'm intersecting with certain people that I need to intersect with out here for my own healing, my growth, and to help in my soul's purpose. And even just being able to work with the earth out here, because this area, there isn't a lot of population. There's more remote areas here where there's not a lot of people. So there isn't as many people that do the grid work that I do, which is the healing with earth. So I'm having the opportunity to do more of that here. And I'm honored to be in such a beautiful place. I mean, the mountains out here are just incredible. I don't miss the ocean very much. I mean, the mountains fill me up. So
yeah, if we just look around us, for sure. One last thing before we go. You do work with animals. Are the animals talking to you? Are they suggesting anything these days?
I love that you asked that, because I'm still very connected to the animals. I do all kinds of different work. You mentioned in the beginning, I channel and everything like that, more on expanding consciousness and ascension topics. But since I've been out in Utah, the horses have been talking to me again. I did a lot of work with the whales when I was in California in Monterey, but now, the horses are calling me. And in particular, in Salt Lake City, there's a wild group of horses called the Onakai. And when I moved here, now I'm 4 or 5 hours away, but still I'm in the same state. And I was aware that they were taking these horses off the land. They were rounding them up and taking them off of their home area, which is, where they live in the wild, in the desert. And, I don't know, for those who are listening, if you know much about how that works, but roundups are very violent. And a lot of times horses will die during the process. And then after they round them up, they keep them in captivity until they can be placed in a home with a human, or they live their lives out in these corrals. And they're wild horses. They're used to being on the land, running free and moving on and going places where they want to be and being with their families. They're torn apart from their families as well when they're rounded up.
Wow.
So I got very involved in that. And I wrote a little bit on my blog about that over the summer. In July, I was part of a rally to try to stop that, but it did go forward. And long story short, they did bring some of the horses back. Some of the horses got homes. But I just want to share, it's the wild, it's the feminine. Again, we should not be taking them out of the place where they belong. That's their home. Just like us, how would we like to be ripped away from our family, and they have a place on the land. They're benefiting the earth, and a lot of those bigger reasons that the horses are taken off are political and have to do with money, have to do with the cattle industry. I won't go into all the details, but we need to start becoming aware that this is happening. Because when I posted on it in the summer, people said to me, I didn't even know that this kind of thing was going on. And I said, yeah, all over the Western US right now, they're taking out wild horses left and right. And if you see them and feel them, you'll know they're no different than we are. They really aren't. And we have to look at the animals as an embodiment of the feminine as well. It's not just women, it's not just the minority groups, although there's a lot of that too to be dealt with in our planet. But looking at our wild and how have we abused them? How have we neglected them? How do we not value them? We just turn a blind eye and, okay, that's fine. We'll just let them do what they want to do. Mm-hmm. So if people were following that, they would understand how these animals were so affected, and it would really hit home and hit our hearts more. So I'm going to definitely continue in my area of, I'll call it activism, because it feels so important to the planet right now, and part of what I represent in my soul's purpose, which is really talking more about what the feminine is, what it needs, and how we can embrace it and begin to take steps forward as a collective. So yeah, I'm doing a lot of that right now.
Wow, I didn't know it was that intense. That would be intense for me.
Oh, it's very intense.
Anytime animals, I used to say, or old people are harmed, you might see a different Jekyll and Hyde within. I don't think I do very well with that. I get very keyed in and passionate about it. Well, any last thoughts here? You have your own website called tealhealing.com. I will put that down in the comment section when this is posted, both on YouTube, WonHeart TV, and Facebook. But I just was wondering, any last thoughts that you would like to share about this new energy coming in? Or it's here. It's here.
Yeah, it's here. It is here. Really follow your heart during this time. Be willing to step into something new. Be courageous. Take a new turn over a new leaf, you might say. Let it carry you forward. Follow the flow. And if you can live life more like an adventure, I think that'll help you. You could apply that to any life area, because we don't have control. We're learning that as a society. We really don't. We think we do, but we don't. Right. And we're being guided all the time by those higher levels, your higher power. You could call it God, you could call it your higher levels, whatever you want to call it, but we're always being guided towards something bigger and something more harmonious and coming together in unity. And we are headed that way, no matter how it looks on the external. It might look really crazy out there in the world, and I know it is. I don't watch the news very much and try to stay up on everything. I feel like I hear what I need to know. But even if you do, just really tune into your heart, and it'll tell you where things really are, no matter what it looks like out there, because it has to look a certain way in order for us to make changes. So this is all part of why it's happening, and we have to remember that, and then follow your heart to really tell you what the next steps are for you, for humanity, to know underneath that we really are okay, and we're actually moving into quite an exciting time. We never know what's going to happen next. We can make huge leaps in progress at any moment. I mean, this is our collective humanity I'm speaking of. We can. You might be surprised by what happens tomorrow, next week, or next month. And I know 2022 and for the next 2 years to 2024 are going to be really big years for big change on the planet. So if you're frustrated and you think, oh, nothing's happening, it is happening, and 2 years is not long. So it's going to be a lot of things that they're going to surprise us. So yeah.
And I think the one thing I loved earlier you said is watch for the carrots.
Watch for the carrots.
They're being dangled out there right now for you to shift and change into what you were meant to do on this planet. A lot of us are scared that we don't know what to do, but if you listen.
Yep. Listen. Gotta go within. Listen.
Yeah, listen. I think I have a song on that. Thank you, Heather, so much for as I always tell you, I have an intuitive call. I always pay attention.
Yes, thank you for reaching out. It was perfect timing. And I want to mention too, I'm doing 2 online classes coming up right on this topic. So it's those who are listening. There's one tonight. It's at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. It's called Support with World Changes. So anybody that's having issues with the worldly events or just aspects of their life, they feel out of control or just don't know how to navigate well, it'll be a good class for gaining information and tools for how to stay balanced. And so you can email me if you can still sign up if you want. It's on Zoom, and just email me. That's on my website at tealhealing.com. If you go to the writings page, you'll see the class listed. And if you click on it, it'll tell you how to sign up. And then I'm going to do a special one for post Valentine's Day. I'm going to do it on the Wednesday right after Valentine's Day, all on relationships, because this Venus retrograde is such a powerful thing. Like I said, for such a powerful process, I guess I would say, for helping us in our relationships with ourselves, with others, the feminine. And so it's all about helping people in their process of just navigating relationships, deciding what they want, healing, all of that. And so that'll be right after Valentine's Day, and that's again at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. It's on my blog. Again, it's on the writings page. So if you go there, you can see it listed and sign up, because Venus is going to go into Capricorn in February, or actually, in February. And that's going to ground us into more stability in relationships, manifesting. And it's going to show up as something that's more sustainable for us. And people that have been really desiring to have a relationship that's valuable, that can actually, someone who can meet them where they're at. I hear that a lot from clients and those kind of things. That's what we're headed into. So we can look forward to more of that. And so the class is going to elaborate on that. So both of those classes are on my blog. You can check them out if you want to sign up.
Okay, again, Teal Healing, TEAL healing.com. Yes, Heather Green, intuitive energy healer, animal communicator. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
We'll have to check in and down the pike, I'm sure, through the year, because we've got 2 years, you say, of this, but lots going on these next couple weeks into 2 months. So let's pay attention, people. Relationships are where it's at, changes, karmic changes. This is all a great carrot for us to flower in spring, so to speak, I hope.
Yes.
Well, again, thank you. All of you tuning in. This is WonHeart TV. I've got a YouTube station where you can please subscribe and join us. I've got a Facebook page going on at WonHeart TV, and we look forward to our next couple weeks. Let's see what happens, Heather. All right. We'll all say goodbye and have a great day. Thank you all.
Yes, everybody. Thanks for joining.